Recently in Los Angeles, a protest billed as the Freedom Ride involved 3 busloads of people, including dozens of public school students traveling to Arizona to publicize their anger over the new law. The LA Unified School District says it didn't know anything about the protest, but some say that's hard to believe since so many kids were involved. Joining us now from LA is Jose Lara, a high school teacher who organized the Freedom Ride. So, Mr. Lara, first of all, why do you think the majority of Americans support the Arizona law?
Well, I think that the poll is wrong. I don't think that the majority of Americans support the law. If you saw the thousands that were on the street in Arizona, you would see that many people don't support that law. I think that people are voting with their feet. They're taking place in these marches. They're also voting locally to boycott Arizona. So I'm not sure if I completely believe the numbers in those polls.
Okay, but it is.
But I think that
wait. 41% oppose, like you, the Arizona law. So that would be responsible for the people we're seeing now. But the Washington Post is a very liberal newspaper. Why would they skew a poll? Why would they boot a poll in opposition to their editorial stance? It doesn't make any sense. You say the poll's not right. I mean, these are the biggest pollsters in the country.
Well, what I can tell you, Bill, is that this law is wrong. It amounts to racial profiling. I think more and more people are starting to see that. City councils across the nation are starting to boycott. Labor unions across the nation, civil rights organizations, almost every single civil rights organization in the country has condemned this law. So I think people are starting to see what this law is really about.
Look, Jose, some people agree with you, but you can't say that it's racial profiling because the law isn't in effect yet. We don't even know how it's going to come down. And there are safeguards built into the law that people walking their dog or having a meal can't be interrupted and can't be bothered by any authorities. You have to be involved in a police matter before there's any questioning about your nationality. But what I'm very interested in you and the kids. Don't you think it's indoctrination for a guy like you, articulate, smart, veteran school teacher, to say to the kids, you know, why don't you come with me and we're going to protest this law? They're not hearing, you didn't invite me on the bus, Jose. They're not hearing both sides of the story. They're hearing your side of the story. And isn't that indoctrination?
Right. Well, first of all, I want to tell you that inside of my classroom, I teach California state standards. I'm mandated by law on what I can and I can't teach. So I'll say that outright. Secondly, I did not take any of my personal students onto this bus trip to Arizona.
But there were dozens of LA public school students on the trip, and they're being indoctrinated because you don't have an opposing point of view. They hear your point of view, and that's it.
Look. In my classroom, I put everybody's point of view out there. Now, if the students who are in Los Angeles have a particular point of view, if they feel personally that they want to be civically engaged and get their voice out, I think they should. Civil rights movements have been led by students across the country. This is historical here, what's happening in Arizona. If they want to make history, if they want to participate, and they have full permission of their parents,
I have no problem with dissent, and I know you're equating this law with the civil rights law. I know you're doing that. I have no problem with it. I'm worried about the kids not getting both sides of the story. Last night we had the sheriff of Pinal County, Arizona on the program. Good guy, tough guy, trying to protect the people in Pinal County. He says, look, I got 2 a day police pursuits. I got 2 times a day in my county when there's somebody zooming away with armed almost all the time, not here illegally, and my guys got to go try to catch him, and anybody could get killed. And I'm saying to myself, look, this is happening in California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, and a guy like Jose Lara, I think you're a good man. I think you want the best for everybody. You're ignoring it. You ignore it. And that's what I don't understand, Jose. You ignore all of it. Go.
Look, I'm not ignoring anything. What I'm doing is teaching to California state standards. I'm letting students make informed decisions. I'm letting them be involved and civically engaged. You know, what we're trying to do is really say that this Arizona's law amounts to racial profiling. The fact is, Bill, and you can't deny this, that in cities that have large amounts of immigrants, crime is actually lower.
It's lower because it's compared to before the recession. And that's why it's lower, because there aren't as many illegals here now as there were, because the economy's terrible. If you go back 10 years, every city is up big. And the intrusion on Arizona and California, as you know, is enormous in dollars and blood. I'll give you the last word.
Right. And you know what? What I'm concerned about is the 14-year-old boy that was shot and murdered by the Border Patrol on this border. There is violence on both sides.
We are
concerned
too.
This enforcement-only approach.
We don't want any violence. And if the border... Jose, you know as well as I do, if the border were secured, the poor people trying to get in here wouldn't be suffering. And that's another reason
and the students
you should
that went
come
on the
my
trip
side.
went with their parents. They went with their parents, and they take issue with this because it directly affects them. It directly affects my students, and that's why they're out there. And if they want to go out there again, I most certainly support them.
All right, Jose, thanks for being a stand-up guy and coming in. Plenty more ahead as the factor moves along this evening.